So there's no getting this. Or not getting this. This isn't a message about getting something that you haven't got, that isn't the case already. There is no case, but it is already, isn't it? And there's simply nothing more to get other than the story you can tell yourself about what more there might be to get. And those stories can be very convincing, I know. And you've heard lots of stories about what you might be able to get. You know, very attractive stories. That you might be able to get more of what you want and less of what you don't want. Sounds great. They're the top selling stories, aren't they? They're the big sellers. Very attractive. But of course, you simply can't get more of what is than what is. You can't get more of all that there is, or less of it. And I guess this message is really for those who have tried their utmost, who have tried their best and their worst to get what they want out of life, to make life fit a pattern, to make it fit how I feel it should be. And life simply doesn't care what you think about how it should be. And although not caring, we've been taught and we've been conditioned that caring is a beautiful thing, which on one level it is, but it's the not caring, the unconditional nature of life. That's the love. And although life still won't necessarily be as you want it to be, it'll just be as it is. It can't be other. There is such love in that. It couldn't be other than it is. That's the unconditional love. Whether there's sorrow or joy, whether there's peace or anxiety, whether there's calm or a storm, this is beyond simple. This message is beyond simple. Too simple. Life is being exactly as it is. Now, the as it is also includes the stories of how it should be. It's that unconditional. So Even if there's stories of it shouldn't be like this, that's included. All the parts of what you call yourself, or you've called yourself, that you don't like about yourself, they're all included. All the bits that you've been proud of, they're included. There are no exclusions. And the lack of exclusion is the only reason that life can feel full of love, not love in a lovey-dovey, fluffy, pink kind of way, but in a very raw, explicit, in your face kind of way, in a sensual, sensory, really felt kind of way, without the story about it. The stories always come after what is. Don't get me wrong, the stories are included, but there is what is happening, what seems to be going on. That's the undeniable nature of life, what's going on. And then laid on what's going on, or after the going on, then there's a story about it. What's happened is always after what's happening, isn't it? If you say what's happening, then that's always after what's happening. And then what's happening is a story about what's happening. Which isn't excluded, it's not excluded. The stories are all part of life. But if we say we know what's happening, that's a story. We can't speak about what's happening without telling a story about it. Including this non-dual story of what's happening is just another story. You can easily make this the special story, just like you did all the previous ones on your search for the answer. And there is no answer. That's the answer. The answer is, this doesn't need an answer. It's not interested in your answer. Life couldn't give a shit what you think about it. That's the freedom. That's the love. Who would ever have believed that not giving a shit was love? It's so the antithesis of what we've been conditioned to believe. And yet the freedom from caring, which all caring actually means is it needs to be a certain way. Life needs to be a certain way. That's what caring means. I care about the outcome of this. And if it's not the right outcome, then there's distress. The caring is always in conflict with what's happening, with what is. And yet, of course, the caring isn't excluded. If caring's happening, that's what's happening. But the great freedom is the freedom from the one who needs to know the answer. That's really the essence of this message. I always wanted to know. I always wants to know, because in knowledge, I have the illusion. I'm convinced of the illusion that knowledge will bring me security, and knowledge will bring me what I'm looking for. That's the great illusion. Because in essence, there really is nothing to come. So there is no finding what you're looking for, because all there is already found without any finding. This doesn't, you don't need to know, this doesn't need any knowing in order to be as it is. You don't need to know what this is. You don't even need to know what is happening in order for what's happening to be happening. The words come out and they sound stupid because they're outrageously, it's too obvious, too simple. I mean, knowing is a funny word, because of course this is completely known. This is all that's known, without any need for any knowledge. Because all knowledge does is dissect. It just cuts this up. Like a vivisectionist with the lab rats. Dissection. That's all really all knowledge is. That's all naming is. That's all objectifying is, cutting this up into pieces, ever smaller pieces, in the hope that if I cut it up small enough, then I'll understand. You could say that's the essence of science, isn't it? Ever smaller pieces. Because if I dissect it and then I can put it back together again, then I have an understanding of it, and then I know what's going on. And I know how things work. And of course that does work scientifically, but we're not talking about science. We're talking about, we don't know what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. As opposed to, normally when we're talking about a subject, we talk about what we know about it. Whereas with this subject, we're talking about what we don't know. It's not really a subject anyway, but for want of a better term. Somebody said to me the other day, they said, well, you believe in non-duality, don't you? No. No, don't be ridiculous. Who would believe that shit? You'd have to be a fool to believe that nonsense. I mean, no, it's not a belief. It requires no belief. This doesn't require any beliefs, does it? So it's not a belief. It's not a philosophy. Although when people ask me about, so what do you do now that you've retired from teaching? Now you're not an RE teacher anymore. You must be doing something useful now. Oh yeah, I'm doing something really useful now. I'm speaking about non-duality. And they go, oh, what's that? And then quite often I say, well, it's philosophy, because then they won't ask me any more questions about it. So I quite often say philosophy, just as a way out, really, because I'm pretty sure they don't really want me to start speaking about it. So in general conversation, if I meet old friends, that's the kind of thing I say. It's a bit trickier than that now, though, because I've got a website and a book. I can't play that fob off card quite as easily now, because I can be found on the internet. Shit. So it is interesting. I've had quite a few more old friends contact me, go, what is this shit you're talking now? Exactly those words. I had my golf buddy, because I still play golf, and I had my golf buddy. I gave him a copy of the book because he's been a really good friend to me. And I played this afternoon. I really shouldn't have given it. He goes, what is that bollocks? What is that bollocks? Now that's very English, but you probably get the gist of what he thought of it. So yeah. So it's like it's as if I've come completely out of the closet now. Out of the non-dual closet, you know, bearing all. Oh well. C'est la vie. All right, that's enough as an introduction, or enough about me. Has anybody got any questions? Oh, I know. Before I ask for any questions, Rob did ask me about physical contraction, bodily contraction. Now
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Rob. Yeah, say what you're going to say.
I just noticed last night. I've never noticed it quite so strongly before. A real physical contraction around the pelvis area and the muscles going into the pelvis, and I'd never felt it so strongly before. Right. And I remember Tony Parsons saying that there can, like, the me is a physical contraction inside the body, and I know that it's just Rosemary and Andreas both said, "Oh, there's no me." So they didn't really entertain the idea, but you seem to entertain it a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I could entertain it a bit. Yeah. Because I remember. So Tim has a story. It felt like I was always carrying on my shoulders. I always talk about it as a rucksack. So I was carrying Tim round with all the rock, you know, a rucksack, a backpack full of rocks, and I get excruciating pain in my shoulders, just where the straps would go. And yeah, a lot of pain and tension in my shoulders and in my neck. But again, I mean, I understand why they won't entertain it, because of course that's a story, and I could tell a story of, yeah, it's a lot easier now. But it is interesting, because I visualized myself as on my back, like I carried myself, like this body carried me on my back. And I can remember being in therapy and describing that to my therapist. And I would get all this pain in my shoulders and my neck. But there again, it could be just that I stared at a laptop all day, sitting teaching. You know, so I mean, we can make up all elaborate stories about, you know, oh, that's the self, the contracted self. But it's of no it's of no significance at all.
No, I didn't think it was.
So your story of, you know, I mean, it's just storytelling. But of course, we do have beautiful stories. But the story of me and my rucksack isn't a beautiful story, really. So it's probably better that I didn't tell it again.
I suppose so.
What I will say is that the sense of self is not just thought. It's not just belief. It is felt. It is bodily felt. If it was just thought, if it was just belief, well, I don't know, it wouldn't be quite so convincing. And the thing about the sense of being me is it's utterly convincing, isn't it? It's totally convincing while it's convincing. Don't get me wrong, there's always moments when it's not, when there's a sense of expansion, when there's a sense of freedom. But usually it's felt contracted. It's felt that you're inside. I feel that I'm inside the body. That's the sense of self. That I feel I'm inside, and I literally feel it. I don't just think it. I don't just believe it. It's felt in the body.
Yeah, but you are there, aren't you? You're there, like, and I'm here.
Where am I?
Well, you can see your screen and feel your legs and feet, and you can see your back garden and see my kitchen, and I don't know. So apparently there is a being me and a being you, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Well, there's a being. I mean, this isn't disputing that, Rob. There's an appearance that there's a body that everyone's called Rob Hearn.
Yeah.
But the only suggestion is there isn't a little controller inside Rob Hearn who's calling himself. That's all.
No, but is there somebody here receiving?
No.
No.
There's you could say.
No, but isn't there?
There's ears, isn't there? There's an auditory functioning receiving this nonsense from this end. You don't need me to hear it, do you, Rob?
I don't know. I always just go blank. I think I said that in my message as well. Like my brain goes blank.
Well,
yeah. I never can think of anything to say.
Well, look, it's not that there's no me, it's that there's not me or no me.
No, there's just what is. That's what it is. I know how simple it really is.
I mean, it is just too much.
Sorry?
It is too much. It's too simple, yeah. And so I understand why there could be total blank there, because there's nowhere. Well, where do you go? There's nowhere to go with it. It's empty, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't emphasize enough, there's no knowing of me. There's no knowing of there's no knowing of something that's not me. I don't know. How would you know? I mean, it becomes really.
I want there to be. Maybe.
Of course, yeah. Oh, me too. I really wanted there to be something else, yeah. So when I've gone, if I can get rid of myself, then there'll be something better in my place. Of course.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
something pure and holy and higher. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, and amazing. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Eternal.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that was something higher, something better than this shit life for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the seeker's lot, isn't it? That's what. But
Yeah. I don't want to be like I don't want people at work to be rude to me and things like that. You know, I want them to look up to me and.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. A bit of respect wouldn't go amiss, would it?
No. But
especially as a teacher. Well, of course, I mean, I'm familiar with that, Robert. Respect is all as a teacher, because if you're not getting it, life's pretty shit as a teacher.
Well, yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you didn't need reminding. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like it is really the mess. Like it is hopeless. I mean, your words. Like when I talk about it, I just use your words, or I use someone else's words. But I suppose they're not really yours, are they?
No.
And they don't even describe it anyway.
No.
Yeah. And all there is all there is, and that there couldn't possibly be anything less or more.
That's it.
But it's not good, is it? It's not like, oh,
no.
It's just not at all.
It's not good.
My life's great now. It's not. It's
no
different.
It's not good or bad. And it's both, of course. Yeah. Yeah. So you stick in the teaching out then, Rob?
No, I mean, in a way, I'm cover supervisor now, so
Yeah. Okay.
the role is quite easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's just there's new pains that come with it, and new pluses.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what else to do in order to get money, so yeah.
No, I know.
Yeah, I think you probably like. There's a belief that if this thing happens to me, this non-duality shift, then I won't care about having to earn a living, and I won't care about, or I'll find a different path, and things will be easier. But that's never going to happen either.
Well,
or it might apparently happen.
Well, nothing's going to happen, but
there's no shift.
But that could happen, yeah.
Right. Okay, I don't know how. I go so blank.
Yeah, you asked me in the week about it, and of course the sense of self is a bodily felt sense, and I always got a bit frustrated with so many speakers talking about it in a very intellectual way, as though it's just thoughts and beliefs. And of course, if you clear your mind, or you're clear from thoughts, and you're clear, if belief falls away and thoughts are stilled, then there is no sense of self. Well, that bodily felt sense of self is very persistent. It's very persistent.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe in the waiting phase, or I'm expecting something to happen.
Yeah. And of course, something.
And
the
everything.
thing is, but there's no telling. I mean, there could be. You could have the most dramatic revelation. Not that that would mean anything at all, but there isn't a way this should be, or could be, or will be. But yeah, sounds like you are waiting, yeah. And while you're waiting, that's what's happening, isn't it? You're waiting.
Yeah.
Because there's still a very strong desire there. It sounds like, anyway, Rob. Sounds like there's this really strong desire for life to be better for Rob. Of course, it's the most natural. I mean, you along with another 7 billion.
I know.
It's the most human trait, really.
Yeah, it's kind of the idea that yeah, that all there is what's happening, and that's it.
That's it. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it so many times. I've heard it said so many times.
Yeah.
And been to all the meetings and.
But again, when this is what this is I want this to be different than it is, then that's as it is. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
That's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And I don't even know if that's true. I'm not even sure that's actually happening. Yeah, that I want things to be different from what they are, or I want something to happen. I don't even know if that's happening. That might arise, that might happen, and then I don't know. I'm just left just not knowing at all, really, I suppose.
Yeah, and that is what we're talking about, Rob, not knowing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good then, isn't it?
sounds you're right on it, Rob, with the not knowing.
Yeah, but no.
Why not? Why not? Why are you not having the not knowing then?
So, no, well, yeah, exactly. Literally, it's just there's no words. There's just nothing's going. Yeah, I get it. I mean, or I don't get it, but I just can't speak to it. I just can't say it.
No.
Just can't. I mean.
Yeah, but the only reason it's just this character here just loves speaking, can't shut up. That's all.
Yeah, and I think my character is one that's racked with indecisiveness about everything and anything all the time anyway. Right. So why would it be any different about this?
Yeah, but you mustn't think this is about speaking about it.
No, of course not.
It's certainly not. Or being able to communicate it. I mean, there's no relevance in that at all.
Right.
There's no relevance in any of it.
I enjoy it though. I do enjoy it for some reason. In fact, I find that like I can't like watch telly, you know, and see how convinced people are by their stories and their lives. I find that really off-putting somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be. But I mean, we really are only storytellers, aren't we?
Yeah.
Just telling our lovely stories or our terrible stories. Of course, most people want to tell you their terrible story of how awful how awful life is.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, maybe that's just a British thing.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I think other nationalities are pretty good at it as well. We don't have a monopoly on how terrible my life is. I'm pretty sure of that. I think that's the nature of self, is to try out and outdo the other selves, and who's got the most just point scoring on. Oh, you think that's bad? That happened to you? Well, this happened to me.
Yeah, it's funny. It's just
you think your life's shit. You haven't heard about it.
It's funny though, isn't it?
All right, thanks, Rob.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Cheers, Rob.
See ya.
Hey, Tim, I think Scott wanted to ask something.
Hi, Scott.
Hi,
right.
Tim. Yeah, I like this thing about waiting because it's like my 12-year-old son. Whenever things are boring, I can see his hand go into his pocket and he's pulling out his phone, you know.
Yeah.
And we have this calling actually to not really be intimate with the moment, but to kind of, you know, fly off or, you know, go invent something. I think I myself am addicted to the mind, and it always has some competition for my attention. Actually, I can make this interesting. And
yeah,
one of the things I like though now, because I've been spouting bullshit for 20 years, is how little I need to convince other people, because it's really a dance between me and what this is. And it's an invitation, always get a little closer. And I think, oh, that's nice. And then the next day it's like there's another veil, and then, oh, okay. And it's just getting quieter and quieter, but I'm feeling my way through it, not thinking, because the thoughts are always calling me to do something else.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah.
But you can make thoughts the enemy, Scott, and they're not really.
Yeah, no, not the enemy. It's just so subtle that I could feel the pull. It really is like my son's hand going into the pocket. It's like, don't you want to, you know?
Yeah.
Don't we want to? Well, you know, sometimes it starts off innocently. It's saying, you know, I'll be walking the dogs and I'll be, you know, who knows where I am. And then there's a part of me that goes, oh, we're at this point in the block, you know, and just that's a toe hole. And then I'm invited to take that into where are we going? How long is it going to take?
Yeah.
And I could just pull back out and go, I have no idea where I am. I don't know what's going on.
No.
And then I watch my body do the whole rest of the thing.
Yeah.
Without that babysitter, without that, you know, tell me where I'm safe. Tell me how to find myself in this river, because we're just so used to, you know, putting spikes in the river and saying, oh, I know where I am. I know where I'm going. But it's the not knowing has to kind of be replaced by a feeling of, oh, it's safe here and it's beautiful and it's okay to not know. And it's
yeah, but the thing is, for me, it's not okay to not know, you know. For me, for self, for self, it's not. So self is, for me, that feeling, that little child, you know, because I think at the core of self, it feels really how it was for Tim. At the core of Tim, the self was a 2-year-old child in a world of giants, looking up at giants, feeling terribly insecure, always wanting to have always looking for security from them. So even as an adult, the tiny child was still very much running the show, in that looking to make sure that he was being comforted by the other adults, being affirmed by them, making sure that he was accepted. Otherwise, if there was any lack of acceptance, it felt literally life-threatening.
Yeah.
You know, that real sense of, it was a threat to my very existence. Someone just disagreeing with me or saying that I'd got something wrong, just like a 3 or 4 year old child, when their parents say, you know, you've got it really wrong, and you were shouted at.
Yeah.
There's absolute terror in that, and I think for most human beings, they carry that around for a lifetime, and it's torture.
Yeah.
It is as it is. It can't be helped, but it's so painful, because there's so much fear. You know, my whole existence as me feeling like a child, not consciously most of the time, sometimes consciously, actually literally feeling like a small child in a world of giants, but often unconsciously governing the whole of life, really. And so much fear. And I know what I was waiting for. I was waiting until someone was going to make it okay for me. Where someone else, I was incapable because I was a tiny little child. I couldn't make it okay for myself. So I was always looking to others to make it okay.
Yeah.
And of course, in a romantic relationship, as an adult, that's so disastrous.
Yeah.
You know, to put that burden on another, that you need to make my life okay because I feel so insecure. So you need to be my rock.
Yeah, or that we're not supposed to be okay unless we're in a couple and we can, complete each other, which is, a nice fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've all played that out in 3D.
But yeah, but in the I mean, this non-duality can be just there's such a game in this that you can be waiting for the big thing. Like I was talking with Rob, that I'm waiting for some spectacular shift, something when it will be obvious. So I'm obviously going to go from me to no me, and that will be very, very clear, and there'll be a total shift in existence. Now, I'm not saying that's impossible.
Yeah. Oh, lost you. Can't hear you, Tim.
I think we lost your audio, Tim.
No.
Still lost you. Yeah.
Neat.
Signal drops.
I think. Yeah, your connection's dropping in and out, so we're not hearing a lot of it.
Okay. Should we just sit inside?
That was better.
Try again.
I'm not speaking anymore.
We heard that.
Yeah, I've had a formal complaint. I've had 2 complaints about the quality of the video for YouTube. One guy said, "Are you using a VHS from the 1980s?" which I thought was a little harsh because this laptop's only 3 years old. But I know the quality isn't very good. But I thought VHS, that's harsh. Anyway, I think, yeah.
Anyway,
I am going to try and get a better camera.
Well,
thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
the waiting game. I mean, you can be waiting, waiting.
But the nice thing is, and I heard you say this in other talks, and I think this is what is kind of the convincer for me on this particular direction you're going, is that it doesn't need me to explain it, or it doesn't need other people to approve it. And finally, I'm free of that, free of like, now it's between me and it. It's not this hall of mirrors anymore. And I'm like, oh, I can finally experience it and be in it and watch myself go in and out of it instead of making it, pulling everybody into my trash heap.
Yeah.
Because if they're not ready,
you can't get out of it.
Yeah, if they're not ready,
you know when you say about going, about going in and out, Scott. There is no going in and out.
God, we try, don't we?
You can't escape. You can't get in any more than you could get out.
Yeah.
There's no getting in and out.
Yeah. That was
How
great.
would you get in?
Yeah. You'd have to have a door.
You need a door. And of course, you've been waiting. One of the great things you wait for is the key to the door.
Mm.
Or the gate, you know, the gateless gate that you've heard about.
Have you heard the Rumi quote? He
Well,
says, he says, I've been knocking at the door all these years, and and the door opened, I found out I was on the inside.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's no gate or door or river or flow. I mean, every analogy just, I mean, we have to communicate. If we're going to speak to each other, we have to say something, but all the analogies are just more stories. This is completely unknowable and absolutely known. You know, having a better analogy, because you'll have analogies that you really resonate with and you like, and you think, oh yeah, they're better. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think life's like a river. Or you'll go, no, I think, yeah, it's like, I don't know what other analogies to use now, but whichever ones resonate. Of course, they're just words. They're completely of no significance, absolutely no significance at all.
Yeah. And then whatever you find that looks like truth today, tomorrow it's like that was shade.
Yeah. Well, that is one of the most beautiful things of life, is that as soon as you think you've got it, life will show you that you haven't.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, that's a hand slap.
In case you might get just a little bit too arrogant.
All right. Thank you. That was great.
Thanks, Scott. Is there any questions in the chat, Darren? That I should answer?
Oh, there's lots of chat.
That's what I thought.
Let's have a look.
While Darren's having a look, has anyone else got anything they'd like to ask?
No, they're just all chatting to each other.
Right, can you stop chatting to each other? This is talking to me. Some sort of fucking social event going on here. No, that's nice.
Tim, I have a question.
Go on.
So you no longer look for approval from others?
I wouldn't say it's gone completely, Rob. It's very habitual. So that's a habit of a lifetime. The big difference is, I'd say those habits still happen, less than they used to. But yeah, that, you know, whatever behavioral habits you've got, they're not all going to drop, are they? You know, the body and the character just acts as it acts. I have to say, disapproval is not anywhere near as devastating. That would be the plus. If I know you're looking for something positive here, Rob. So I'm going to give you this. The disapproval hurts a lot less.
I don't know if I'm looking for something positive. I wasn't sure if maybe it's just something you've just grown out of. It just.
Well, you know, I did a lot of therapy, and I did a lot of self-therapy, you could call it, self-help therapy, as well as actual therapy. And a lot of that was on not being so needy of acceptance, of acknowledgement, of you know, of positive reinforcement, of being able to take criticism better, and, you know, being more self-resilient. I've worked on that a lot. So in that sense, I was already, you know, as a self, I'd done quite a lot of work on that. But as you might have found, all that work on yourself doesn't really work. It always works just to a degree. But there's always some payback, because of course all work on self just reinforces self. And when you work to improve your faults or what you want to improve on, all you're doing really is saying how faulty you are. That's what self hears. Self hears, oh yeah, I'm improving myself because I'm so shit. Why else would I be working on myself if I wasn't shit? If I was okay, there's no need to work on myself, is there? And I'm doing shitloads of work on myself, all of it reinforcing all my faults. Papering over the crap. Well, actually, as my friend would say, like putting gold leaf on a turd.
I don't get that.
Is that a lovely turn of phrase? So there you are, yourself, feeling like a turd, a shit, and you do a lot of work on yourself, and you've papered it over with gold leaf if you can afford it, if you can afford that kind of therapy. And then, but of course, you can kid yourself, you look okay, and even superficially to yourself, you can feel better. But there's shit underneath that gold leaf.
It sounds like it was quite terrible being Tim.
It wasn't. I don't think it was particularly any worse than for anyone else, really. If I talk to people and they're honest about how it is being themselves, it's universally shit.
It is mostly shit. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's more shit for some than others. I don't doubt that. Some people get dealt a really shit hand, so not only do they get their own shit, but they have shit piled on them as well. But I mean, if you talk to anybody openly and they're really honest about how it is to be themselves, it's painful. A lot of the time. Not always, of course. But the not always is usually in those fleeting moments of absence. Fleeting moments that might even last an evening or an afternoon. Those joyous absences of the one who's criticizing itself or questioning itself. It's just the absence of the questioner, really. The questioner stops, there's no questions, life's as it is. It's not being questioned. It's incredibly easy. That doesn't mean it's great, by the way. It doesn't mean it's blissful. It doesn't mean it's joyous. It's exactly as it is, very easily just being as it is. I mean, it could be full of sorrow, but it'll be very easily full of sorrow without saying, I shouldn't be feeling, this is shit. I feel shit. This is awful. It shouldn't be happening. I'm trying to remember who told me the gold leaf analogy. I can't remember.
Hi,
Is anyone
Tim.
else? Hi,
Hi.
Anne.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine, Anne. Is my are you hearing me okay now?
Yes, and I think the quality of video is fine, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Anne. Well, I think, you know, at a certain age, a lack of sharpness is an advantage.
Yeah, and a lack of eyesight too is poor eyesight is an advantage too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just what you're saying there about therapy made me think, and obviously this is in the story of Anne, but I had a lot of therapy too. I think my life was shittier than yours, though, definitely.
Okay, right. There you go with your competition, Anne.
Yeah, yeah.
1-0 to Anne.
Thank you. And yeah, I had quite a lot of therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree, I couldn't believe how little difference it made. But I also had CBT. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
Yeah.
And the brilliant thing I found about CBT that sort of ties in a little bit with non-duality is the realize that, because I thought I had loads of problems, like piles and piles of problems.
Yeah.
And when I did CBT, I saw that they were all basically about 4 or 5 mind loops. You know, these thought loops that,
Yeah.
you know, the me, the separate self, is basically in a thought loop all the time.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's kind of the foundation of, because for me, I know a lot of people talk about the contraction and the bodily sensations, but for me, it was always very mindy. It was always been in my mind and feeling imprisoned by thoughts and ruled by them, really. And I think that CBT was the first step to breaking down that sort of hard shell.
And I wouldn't want anyone to get the idea that I'm saying, you know, if you're feeling dreadful, I'm not saying don't go to therapy at all.
No, I know
because,
you don't.
Because like you say, it can break the cycle.
Yeah, it did totally break the cycle. I mean, absolutely. Sorry, that's my alarm. Absolutely, dramatically. Just showed me how simple the reoccurring thoughts were, and the underline that they always went back to a root of I'm not good enough. All of the thoughts revolved around I'm not good enough. So yeah, just I mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, believe it or not, I trained as a CBT therapist. There we go. Yeah.
Oh wow, did you get a lot of results with that? With people?
You could say, yeah, short term. It's very effective. That's why in the NHS it's the accepted form of therapy, because in 6 sessions you can seemingly make a difference. And so it's pretty accepted that for short-term therapy is the most effective in making a short-term difference.
No, I didn't find it short term.
No, you didn't.
No.
Well,
once I'd found the root of my thoughts, I found it very easy to lose interest in them, because I thought there were lots of different problems, but they always came back to the same root.
Right.
Once I'd found the root of them, but the NHS one is, I think that's pretty crap, really.
Well, it's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Anne. Yeah, this message doesn't have anything to say about that therapy is, I mean, therapy to make you feel better, certainly short term, particularly if, you know, if you're in despair, then of course therapy can make a difference. But in terms of this message, it's making a difference to yourself. That's what therapy is all about. It's only about self, isn't it? Therapy is to make me feel better. And if I feel better after therapy, then it's successful therapy. Well, that's time up. Thanks ever so much for coming. I'll have another talk on Thursday at 7 p.m, 7 to 8:30. I'll put that on Facebook and on YouTube. Thanks very much for coming, and look forward to seeing some of you on Thursday. If you haven't bought the book yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. Get your arse in gear and buy it. And if you haven't had a look at the glorious website that Dimitri has made for me, then have a look at that. It's a thing of beauty. Thanks particularly to Kelly for her mastery of video. I took some of the videos and Kelly took some of the videos. So it's without doubt the most personal non-duality website that you will see, as is the book. Because the most paradoxical thing of all is, of course, you don't need to be me for life to be personal. How weird is that? An impersonal life is completely personal. There is just no difference. What a paradox that is. So there is this idea that without me, life would just become completely abstract and impersonal. Well, I mean, how would that happen? The character, this is freedom for the character. And that's the person. You could say, you know, the me that says it's the person, that's the illusion. I'm inside here controlling this person, this human being. But the human being, the liberation is for the human being to be exactly as it is. And that, weirdly as fuck, is even more personal without me. Well, that ain't making any sense. But there we are. Freedom for the human being to be completely itself, rather than controlled and fucked about with by me constantly. Oh, he's applauding himself now. Oh my God. He needs some therapy. He needs some therapy. Sometimes the words come out and I like them a lot. There we go. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Love to Kelly.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Give my love to Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Received.
Bye, Kel.
Thank you, Hans.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you Thursday,
Bye-bye.
Tim. All being well. Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Darren. See ya.
Bye, Cal. Bye.